breaking free from the prison of your own mind, understanding the hidden world of social anxiety. Picture this moment: you're surrounded by conversations, yet drowning in your own silence. The room buzzes with energy, but inside your chest, there's a thunderstorm brewing. Every laugh feels like it's echoing off your insecurities. Every glance seems to pierce through your carefully constructed facade. This isn't just nervousness, this is social anxiety, and it's rewriting the rules of how you experience the world. Social anxiety doesn't announce itself with fanfare. It doesn't wear a name tag or carry warning signs. Instead, it whispers lies so convincingly that you begin to mistake its voice for your own inner wisdom. It tells you that staying quiet is safer than speaking up, that invisibility is preferable to authenticity, that the risk of rejection outweighs the possibility of connection. But what if everything you've been told about social anxiety, including what you've told yourself, is only part of the story? The anatomy of invisible suffering. When most people think of anxiety, they imagine obvious symptoms: trembling hands, stuttered speech, obvious distress. But social anxiety is a master of disguise. It can hide behind the brightest smile, the most polished presentation, the most agreeable personality. It's the person who seems to have it all together on the surface, while drowning in self-doubt underneath. This invisible nature makes it particularly isolating. You might be the one everyone turns to for advice, the reliable friend, the high achiever, all while battling an internal storm that never seems to calm. The disconnect between your public persona and private struggle creates a kind of emotional whiplash that leaves you questioning which version of yourself is real. The truth is, both are real. The competent, caring person others see exists alongside the anxious, uncertain person you know yourself to be. Social anxiety doesn't erase your strengths. It just makes them harder to access when you need them most. The neuroscience of self-protection gone wrong deep within your brain. An ancient alarm system is working overtime. The amygdala, your brain's security guard, has become hypervigilant, interpreting social situations as potential threats to your survival. This isn't dramatic thinking. It's evolutionary programming that once kept our ancestors alive in genuine danger. But here's where things get complicated. Your brain can't distinguish between physical danger and social rejection. To your nervous system, being laughed at triggers the same fight or flight response as being chased by a predator. Your body floods with stress hormones, your heart rate spikes, your muscles tense, all because someone might think you're awkward. This biological reality explains why logical solutions often fall short. When someone tells you to just relax or stop overthinking, they're essentially asking your alarm system to ignore what it perceives as a genuine threat. It's like asking someone to remain calm while their house is on fire. Even if the fire is only in their mind, the smoke feels real. Research in neuroscience has revealed that people with social anxiety show increased activity in the medial prefrontal cortex, the brain region responsible for self-referential thinking. This means your brain is constantly asking, "What does this mean about me?" instead of simply experiencing the moment. Every interaction becomes a mirror, reflecting back what you fear others might see. The paradox of hypersensitive awareness. Here's something remarkable about social anxiety that often gets overlooked. It can make you incredibly perceptive. While others move through social situations with casual awareness, you've developed an almost supernatural ability to read microexpressions, detect subtle shifts in tone, and sense the unspoken emotions in a room. This hyper-awareness isn't a superpower you asked for, but it's undeniably powerful. You notice when someone's smile doesn't reach their eyes, when enthusiasm feels forced, when silence carries weight. You've become a student of human behavior, not by choice, but by necessity, because your survival instincts convinced you that missing these details could be dangerous. The cruel irony is that this same sensitivity that makes you anxious in groups can make you extraordinary in one-on-one connections. When someone needs to feel heard, really heard, they often gravitate toward people like you. Your tendency to listen more than you speak, to consider others' feelings before your own, to notice what others miss. These aren't weaknesses disguised as strengths. They're genuine gifts that emerge from struggle. But gifts can become burdens when they're used for self-protection, instead of connection. When your awareness turns inward, constantly monitoring your own performance, it becomes a prison instead of a tool. You spend so much energy managing how you're perceived that you forget to actually connect with the people right in front of you. The origins of emotional vigilance, social anxiety, rarely appears out of nowhere. It's usually the result of experiences that taught your nervous system to associate social situations with danger. Sometimes these experiences are obvious: bullying, public humiliation, consistent criticism, but often they're more subtle. Growing up in a family where emotions weren't safe to express, attending schools where being different meant being targeted, or simply being a sensitive child in a world that rewards toughness. For many people, social anxiety develops during adolescence, that crucial time when peer acceptance feels like a matter of life and death. During these formative years, a single embarrassing moment can feel catastrophic, creating neural pathways that associate social exposure with pain. Your brain, trying to protect you from future hurt, begins to treat all social situations with suspicion. But here's what's particularly insidious about social anxiety. It often develops in people who are naturally empathetic and intuitive. These individuals pick up on social cues more readily, feel others' emotions more deeply, and carry the weight of social dynamics more heavily. In other words, the very traits that could make them wonderful friends and partners become the source of their suffering. Family dynamics play a crucial role too. If you grew up in an environment where love felt conditional on performance, where mistakes were met with criticism instead of understanding, or where emotional expression was discouraged, your nervous system learned to be constantly on guard. You developed what psychologists call rejection sensitivity, an expectation that disapproval is always lurking around the corner. The performance trap. One of the most exhausting aspects of social anxiety is the constant performance it demands. You learn to become an actor in your own life, carefully calibrating your responses, rehearsing conversations before they happen, and analyzing every interaction afterward for signs of failure or success. This performance mode can become so automatic that you lose touch with your authentic responses. You know how to give the right answer, wear the appropriate expression, and maintain the acceptable level of enthusiasm. But you've forgotten how to simply be yourself. The mask becomes so comfortable that removing it feels terrifying. The energy required for this constant performance is enormous. By the end of a social day, you're not just tired, you're depleted. You've spent hours managing not just your own emotions, but trying to manage everyone else's perception of you. It's like being a one-person theater company, playing multiple roles simultaneously, while also directing the show. This is why people with social anxiety often need significant recovery time after social events. It's not that they didn't enjoy themselves, it's that they worked incredibly hard to make sure everyone else enjoyed them. They've been running a complex emotional algorithm in the background of every conversation, calculating risks and adjusting behavior in real time. The myth of confident society loves to offer simple solutions to complex problems, and social anxiety is no exception. Just be confident, people say, as if confidence is a switch you can flip rather than a feeling that emerges from safety and self-acceptance. Stop caring what others think, they suggest, ignoring the fact that caring about others' perspectives is actually a sign of emotional intelligence. These well-meaning pieces of advice miss the fundamental nature of social anxiety. It's not a lack of confidence. Many people with social anxiety are highly accomplished and capable in many areas of their lives. It's a nervous system that's become oversensitive to the possibility of social rejection, and that sensitivity can't be reasoned away. Real confidence isn't the absence of anxiety. It's the ability to act in alignment with your values even when anxiety is present. It's not about never feeling nervous, it's about not letting nervousness make your decisions for you. This understanding shifts the goal from eliminating anxiety to developing a healthier relationship with it. True confidence also isn't about being liked by everyone. It's about being authentic enough that the people who do like you are responding to who you actually are, not a carefully crafted persona. This kind of confidence can only develop when you stop trying to manage everyone's opinion of you and start focusing on being genuinely yourself. The healing journey, beyond quick fixes, healing from social anxiety isn't about becoming a different person. It's about returning to who you were before fear taught you to hide. It's about rediscovering the part of yourself that existed before you learned that being seen could be dangerous. This process often begins with what might seem like a paradox, accepting your anxiety instead of fighting it. When you stop treating anxiety as an enemy to be defeated, you can begin to see it as information about your nervous system's state. Instead of asking, "How do I get rid of this feeling?" you might ask, "What is this feeling trying to protect me from?" Therapeutic approaches like acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT, focus on this shift in relationship with anxiety. Rather than trying to eliminate anxious thoughts and feelings, you learn to carry them more lightly. You practice noticing anxiety without becoming overwhelmed by it, acknowledging its presence without letting it control your choices. Exposure therapy, when done skillfully, isn't about forcing yourself into terrifying situations. It's about gradually expanding your comfort zone in small, manageable steps. Each positive experience, each time you speak up and the world doesn't end, each time you make a mistake and people still accept you, helps rewire your brain's threat detection system. But perhaps most importantly, healing involves developing self-compassion. For too long, you've been your own harshest critic, analyzing every social misstep with ruthless precision. Learning to treat yourself with the same kindness you'd show a good friend is often the most challenging and transformative part of recovery. The gift hidden in the struggle. As counterintuitive as it might sound, social anxiety can become a teacher if you're willing to listen to its lessons. It forces you to develop emotional intelligence, to become aware of subtle social dynamics, to consider the impact of your words and actions on others. These skills, once anxiety no longer drives them, can become sources of genuine strength. People who have worked through social anxiety often become exceptional listeners, thoughtful communicators, and deeply empathetic friends. They've learned to notice what others miss, to sit with discomfort without trying to fix it immediately, and to value authentic connection over surface-level interaction. The sensitivity that once felt like a curse can transform into a gift. Your ability to sense others' emotions, to pick up on unspoken needs, to create space for people to feel seen and heard. These aren't consolation prizes for having struggled with anxiety. They're genuine strengths that emerged from your willingness to feel deeply in a world that often rewards emotional numbness. Rewriting your social story. Recovery from social anxiety isn't about becoming fearless. It's about becoming brave. Bravery isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to act according to your values, even when fear is present. Every time you speak up despite your racing heart. Every time you stay present in a conversation, instead of retreating into your head. Every time you choose connection over protection, you're rewriting the story your nervous system tells about social situations. This rewriting happens slowly, through accumulated experiences that contradict anxiety's narrative. Each time you take a social risk and survive, not just physically, but emotionally, you add evidence to a new story. A story where you can be imperfect and still be accepted, where you can make mistakes and still be loved, where you can be authentically yourself and still belong. The goal isn't to become someone who never feels socially anxious. It's to become someone who feels the anxiety and chooses connection anyway. It's to develop enough self-trust that you can navigate social situations from a place of curiosity rather than fear, presence rather than performance. The ripple effects of healing. When you begin to heal from social anxiety, the changes extend far beyond your social life. You start to trust your own voice, both literally and metaphorically. Decisions that once felt overwhelming become manageable because you're no longer trying to predict and prevent everyone's potential disappointment. Your relationships deepen because you're able to show up more authentically. Instead of trying to be the person you think others want you to be, you can simply be yourself and trust that the right people will appreciate what they find. This shift from performance to presence transforms not just how others see you, but how you see yourself. You also develop a different relationship with silence and solitude. Instead of seeing alone time as evidence of social failure, you begin to value it as necessary restoration. You learn to distinguish between isolation driven by fear and solitude chosen for renewal. Living beyond the anxiety. The ultimate goal isn't to never feel socially anxious again. It's to feel the anxiety and know that it's just one voice among many in your internal landscape. You develop the ability to acknowledge anxiety's concerns without automatically obeying its commands. This doesn't mean you become reckless or inconsiderate. If anything, you become more genuinely thoughtful, because your consideration comes from choice rather than compulsion. You can still be sensitive to others' feelings without being held hostage by your imagination of their judgments. You begin to understand that confidence isn't about having all the answers or never feeling uncertain. Real confidence is about trusting your ability to handle whatever comes up, including the possibility of social mistakes or rejection. It's about knowing that your worth isn't determined by any single interaction or anyone else's opinion. The ongoing journey healing from social anxiety isn't a destination you arrive at once and stay forever. It's an ongoing practice of choosing courage over comfort, authenticity over approval, and connection over control. Some days will feel easier than others, and that's not a sign of failure. it's a sign of being human. The difference is that setbacks no longer feel like evidence that you're fundamentally flawed. They become information about what you might need. More rest, different boundaries, additional support. You develop resilience, not by becoming invulnerable, but by becoming skilled at recovery. You also begin to see your past struggles with social anxiety, not as wasted time, but as a journey that taught you invaluable lessons about human nature, emotional resilience, and the power of authentic connection. The person you become through healing isn't who you would have been without the struggle. In many ways, they're someone deeper, more compassionate, and more genuinely confident. A new definition of success in overcoming social anxiety isn't measured by how comfortable you feel in every social situation, or how effortlessly you can work a room. It's measured by your willingness to show up as yourself, to speak your truth even when your voice shakes, and to choose connection even when it feels risky. It's about the moments when you realize you've been so present in a conversation that you forgot to monitor your performance. It's about the times when silence feels comfortable instead of threatening, when you can disagree with someone without fearing they'll reject you entirely, when you can make a social mistake and laugh it off instead of replaying it for days. Most importantly, success is about remembering that you are not your anxiety. You are not the sum of your social fears or the product of your most awkward moments. You are a complex, worthy, interesting human being who happens to have learned some unhelpful patterns around social connection, patterns that can be unlearned, rewired, and replaced with healthier ways of being. In the world, the journey from social anxiety to social ease isn't about becoming a different person. It's about becoming more fully yourself, the self that existed before fear taught you to hide, the self that has always been worthy of connection, the self that deserves to be seen and known and accepted exactly as you are. And perhaps most beautifully, as you learn to extend this acceptance to yourself, you naturally begin extending it to others. Your healing becomes a gift, not just to yourself, but to everyone whose life you touch. Because someone who has learned to be gentle with their own struggles knows how to be gentle with the struggles of others. Someone who has fought their way back to authenticity can recognize and honor authenticity in others. Someone who has chosen courage over comfort becomes a beacon for others who are still finding their way. This is the real victory over social anxiety, not the absence of fear, but the presence of love. Love for yourself, love for others, and love for the messy, imperfect, beautiful process of human connection. In the end, that love is what makes all the struggle worthwhile.